We place so much importance on a character's name in our stories, when in reality, people don't put that much thought into what they name their children even. After all, how many people named their kid after Daenerys before they saw the series finale? Didn't quite work out on that one, did it? Instead of finding a unique name for every single character, consider using a naming system. Doing so will let you be creative while staying consistent and, in the long term, generate names easier. Let's take a look at a few systems and make some of our own. There are always exceptions, but most parents will choose a name for their child that carries some kind of personal value to them. It might be a grandparent's name or some kind of family tradition, or they just like the sound. That's fine too. But people don't often comb through websites or read up on the meanings behind names for this, though everyone generally follows some kind of naming system, the way a name is ordered and structured. For example, English-speaking countries generally follow a pattern of personal name plus middle name plus family name, John Kirk Smith. There's some variation, such as a missing middle name or two surnames, but this example covers a lot of families. Meanwhile, Hispanic names generally look more like personal name plus father's paternal family name plus mother's paternal family name, Anita Hernandez y Garcia, with that E being optional. It just means and that's heavily implied if you don't include it. This structure ties in both parts of the individual's family into their name, rather than the English convention where the surname is usually inherited only from the father. Chinese name conventions are usually organized as family name plus personal name, the reverse of our earlier examples. It looks like Lu Zhao. Additionally, there are often many ways to spell one name when you're using alphabetic characters. For example, Liu, Lu, Lao, and Lu are all variations of the same name. Sorry if I butchered those pronunciations, it will probably happen again before the video is over. If we look further into the history of China, such as the Ming Dynasty, we find they didn't always have just familial and personal names. The dynasty's founder, Zhu Yongsheng, was known by a personal, childhood name, Ming. Then he was given his courtesy name, Yongsheng, when he came of age. At the time, all men received this when they turned 20, and women at the age of 15. Then, after the emperor's death, it became taboo to use his personal name, as was the custom for all emperors at the time. Instead, another was used in its place. For Zhu Yongsheng, he became known as Hui after death. When people try to name their characters, they often look up the etymology of names, different translations and variants to try to find the perfect name with a perfect sound with a perfect history. In reality, people usually don't concern themselves with any of that most of the time. How many Michaels are born in families that aren't religious? How many parents name their daughter Emma
without knowing the name was introduced to England by Emma of Normandy, wife to both King Ealfred II and then later King Canute, or that Emma's name can be further traced back to a shortened form of Germanic names, which contained the name element Ermin, which meant...
If we were to create our own naming systems, say, for a group of elves that we're writing about, we might first consider their culture and history to inform the way that we name them. If our elves have a militaristic culture, we might include rank in their name. That would mean it changes over time, making every name dynamic. The rank signifier could even be the first part of their name, so the first thing anyone learns about you is how you contribute to the glorious empire. If they're nomadic, we might consider putting our elves' surnames first, since it's likely that people could identify a family name easier than an individual one, since the different groups are constantly moving around. If our elves are particularly religious, we might put an honorific into the names of the devout. The holy caste would be easily identifiable. Its members would be set apart from the rest of society who don't have that honorific, or who have one that is deemed below theirs. That's a situation perfect for stories about class struggles, and now with only a system for names, we may already have a great story seed. Alright, so clearly names are complicated. Even though I'm trying to tell you that they're not, let's go back through and review all this just to make sure we've got it all. The etymology of names can be fun. You can get some great names by looking for them this way, but it's time-consuming and inefficient compared to using naming systems, especially if you have a large cast of characters or an extensive setting. Creating a naming system or borrowing from existing ones allows you to quickly come up with names. If you consider the culture and environment of the people, you can even use the system to inform the story and other elements of your world building. Just because you have a system doesn't mean the names won't change. As we saw from looking at China, Emperor Zhu Yongsheng had several names through his life and death. Also, many cultures historically have had one partner take on the surname of another when wed, a practice that is not quite as common as it used to be. If you're really interested in names, put in some time to research them. We only scratched the surface of the different naming conventions around the world. There are plenty more for you to explore. Generational names, suffixes, nicknames, and so on. But most importantly, don't stress about naming your characters too much. It's okay to keep it simple. You can name your main character Kevin. Thanks for watching.
I don't like Kevin as a fantasy name that much. All the Kevins I've known are like, I don't know. When I hear the name Kevin, like the guy that comes to my mind is like wearing athletic shorts and Nike high socks with slides. You know what I mean? Like that's Kevin. It's like a meme name, like Chad
or Karen.
It's like, okay, Kevin. Again, I'm sorry, all the Kevins in the audience.
Yeah,
that's just me.